Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know I'm doing a face-to-face. I've just started a video and Brian walked in, so I've had to stop it and restart it all over again. So I do apologise. I am doing a face-to-face, which is really scary, and I have absolutely no idea where to look. My face is awful, my hair is grey. Yeah, so it's not great. But I thought I'd come on and do a face-to-face and say hello. Oh God, I've just got so many double chins. Yeah, it's really difficult when you're doing it like face to face. Don't really know where to look. Um, but anyway, basically, I was coming on to explain where I've been, and why I haven't been like sort of commenting on many videos and things like that. I've uh I've had a lot going on, which I'll explain to you now. But I probably need to explain to you before I go into all the reasons why I've not been crafting and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so I just wanted to say hello, and I hope you don't mind. This is probably going to be quite a chatty video. Um, yeah, so I've told Brian not to come back in now because I've got Emily off today because she's coughing and spluttering. So, they've gone in the room next door now. So Brian's gonna have a nap, and um, Emily's just watching TV. So yeah, so I told him not to come in. But anyway, okay, where was I? Right, so I was explaining to you why I haven't been anywhere near like YouTube or anything like that. Um, Back in July, uh, just before the children went off school, just before the children broke up for summer, um, we had a Chinese. Brian had a chicken curry and rice. I can't remember what I had. It was something completely different to Brian though. And he usually with the Chinese, he does it all the time. He makes sure he has enough left so he can take some to work the following day. He did that. He took some to work the following day. He ate it. He came back home. He had more of it, but when he came home, he actually reheated the rice, which is deadly, as you know. Um, yeah, you've got to be really, really careful. But I remember him reheating the rice and having more of the curry. So he had that. And then we went up to bed and he had some jelly babies left that I got him from work. And he said he started to generally feel a bit sick. And I was like, well, don't you wonder why? Because you're just eating like a pig and whatever. Anyway, that night then he was up sick all night, pretty much all night. Didn't get any sleep. He was like back and forth continuous. I thought, oh, he's got like food poisoning or something, or he's been a man, he's got stomach bug. That's it. Anyway, the following day, he had to ring in sick from work, I think it was. I can't remember. I know we were due to have a day off because it was the kids' sports day. Um, so yeah, so he was still okay then, but he was still he stopped being sick, but he was obviously going back and forth the toilet. Um, but yeah, just generally felt unwell. So, just said it's fully, be all right and get over it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it started to go in. I don't know whether it was that following day or the following day after, but at this point then he hadn't had anything. He wasn't keeping any fluids down or anything like that, even though I was telling him. But when you talk to a man and they don't listen to anything you say, you start to get really annoyed because obviously I had to go to work and I had to sort the kids out and stuff like that. So he wasn't listening to me. Anyway, I think the kids, I kept them off on their sports day because we couldn't go anyway and they didn't really want to do the sports day. So um, I took them to McDonald's and I remember coming back, and Brian was still sort of very much unwell, couldn't really move about much, but he started this conversations he was having didn't make any sense, and his voice had gone really, really, really quiet, like wasn't Brian there at all anymore. It was really weird. But anyway, I thought, oh God, come on, get over it, give me a hand, whatever, as you do. But yeah, I think he started to go down quickly then. So I rang the GP and I said, look, these are the symptoms. I don't know what's going on. He's deathly pale. He said his skin was clammy. He wasn't drinking anything. So I thought, he's going to be dehydrated. So they said to get in touch with an ambulance. So of course I had to get in touch with my mother-in-law because obviously I needed her to watch them while I was sorting out the ambulance and stuff, so went, quickly got her, come back, rang the ambulance. Ambulance couldn't get out to us quick enough, so it was basically like, I've got to take you to A&E. I can't wait around for an ambulance. But he was still at that point where he was like, no, I don't really want to go into hospital. I don't want to go into hospital. But then he sort of really, really, really went downhill, and he wasn't making any sense at all. So I said to him, right, we're going. I don't care what you say, we're going. I apologise for the light. It's quite bright in here. So anyway, yeah, I took him in, dragged him into the car. He wasn't really aware of what was going on then. He wasn't making any sense at all. So yeah, I was really quite worried. His head was flopping all over the place, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god. So anyway, I got him down there, checked him into A&E. I thought, oh, we're going to be in here forever. He couldn't stand, so I had to get him a wheelchair. Sat him in the wheelchair, and within 5 minutes we were called into like the triage bit. And literally within 5 seconds of them asking his name, they had things on his fingers because his fingers were turning purple. He had an oxygen mask on. They were taking his blood pressure. They were pricking his finger for like blood sugars and stuff. It was pretty, like, I think he was about to sort of go unconscious there and then. So it was a bit frightening. But the nurse said to me, look, we need to act quick, and we need to do this really, really quickly and fast and now. So she said, you'll have to go and wait in the quiet room. So I went to like the family quiet room, and of course I'm suffering with my anxiety still in general. So of course my nerves are shot. I'm literally like panicking, trying to keep it contained because I know I'm not there for myself, trying to keep my belly under control, because as soon as I start panicking, my belly goes, and I like, oh my god. Anyway, so I was there in A&E for ages and ages and ages. It seemed to be ages that I was waiting. So they said, do you want to go and see him? So we had to go in. I had to go into the thing in A&E, like the emergency beds and stuff, and there was a guy in there that was handcuffed. One guy was in there handcuffed to a bed. There was another woman screaming, and I was like, oh god, this is just awful. Anyway, I sat by his bed thinking, oh, you know, once they get a bit of fluid into him now, he'd be all right. Well, like, he was having fluids in, but of course he wasn't weeing, so they had to insert a catheter. Of course, at this point, Brian is petrified of anything like that. He doesn't like hospitals or anything. Nobody does really, do it? But he was really sort of wary about the catheter. But because he was so sort of unaware, he was really angry as well, and I've never seen him like that. Like, his eyes were evil, and he was really, really angry that I had made him have this catheter. It wasn't anything to do with me. I'm not a doctor. I was just sitting by the side of his bed and didn't do anything, but he wouldn't talk to me or do it, you know, anything, because he was that frightened, I think. And I think at this point he had sepsis, and it was starting to poison his blood, and he didn't remember what he was saying. It wasn't making any sense or anything like that. So they needed to get a catheter in so that they could empty his bladder or whatever. I put it in. So yeah, that was pretty hard to watch because he was really weak. So I stayed with him until about 1 o'clock in the morning, I think it was. But I wasn't really doing anything, and I needed the kids to go to school, and just, well, no, I didn't. I kept the kids off school. I think I did. Yeah, so I need to get back, but I needed to sleep myself. I hadn't slept the previous night. He was in good hands, so I just said, I've got to go. I'd stayed there for as long as possible. Anyway, I think it was 2 o'clock. I got home about 3ish, 2ish, 3ish, in the morning. And at that point, Brenda had said, then it was my mother-in-law, had said that the ambulance had actually turned up, turned up at the door. There was a knock on the door at 1:30 in the morning, I think it was, say, we've come here for Brian. And we're like, a little bit too late, like, you know. I had to take him down, basically, otherwise I think he would have probably died. He was very, very close to going unconscious, I think. Anyway, I rang the hospital the following morning because they were in ICU and they didn't have any beds for him to go anywhere. So he was in not in ICU, sorry, he was in A&E. They didn't have any beds for him to go into. So of course I rang up and they said, right, he's got to go to a ICU, which as soon as you hear that word, you think, oh my God, that's the one where, like, you know, lots of people don't come out of. He's going into renal failure. And of course, I broke my heart then on the phone, because obviously you hear failure, renal, oh my God, what's going on? So I was a bit of a mess. So yes, he was going up to ICU. So of course, it was a time when COVID was just coming back into the hospitals. It was like sort of, there was an uproar of it in the hospitals around Pembrokeshire. So I had to be really limited as to when I could go and see him and things like that. And I was the only one allowed to go and see him. I was the only one allowed to ring for him and stuff like that. Anyway, it was a lot to do by myself. So I ended up going into ICU. I used to see him. I used to drive up there most days. He was in ICU for a while. They had to put him on a dialysis machine every like sort of 72 hours to sort of run it through. And they usually tell you that ICU is sort of like a maximum of 6 weeks. And I thought, he's not going to be in there for 6 weeks. But yeah, he was in there for about five weeks, and then his kidneys weren't getting any better. So he had to be transferred to Morriston Hospital, which again was like, oh my God. Because what had happened is he had sepsis, that from a catastrophic infection in the belly, which had caused sepsis. They got rid of the sepsis, but obviously that infection caused loads of problem with the bile, because he wasn't weeing and getting rid of any fluid, so all of his legs were fat, and he was like, obviously you've not seen Brian, but he's very, very skinny. So that was really weird to see. His belly had extended, and basically when he was going to the toilet, it was gross. And it was bile. It was a build-up of bile on his liver, so they were really, really worried about his liver, that he had to have a liver biopsy. And the only places that could do these things were like Morriston, and I think one time Birmingham, I think it was. So they had people from all over the place. They were ringing people from all over the place, just to try and find out what was going on, asking us if we'd been to any exotic countries, or, you know, we explained about the Chinese and everything, and they were like, we didn't think it would cause that much damage that it did, because his body didn't seem to be responding to anything. So yeah, so from ICU, so he was there for about 5 weeks, I think it was 5 weeks. He had to be referred to Morriston. Now Morriston is a lot further away from Pembrokeshire than Carmarthen. So, and again, it was very strict about who was on the wards. You could only go in for like a certain amount of time and stuff. But by this point, Brian was like, he's a man, he doesn't want to be in hospital, he wants to discharge himself. And I'm trying to say, no, you need to get yourself better. Like I say, we're struggling, the kids need you to get better, blah, 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 blah. I need you to get better, because my anxiety is all over the place, but I'm sucking it in and I'm doing everything. So yeah, so he got transferred to Morriston, and I gotta be honest, when I went to go and see him in Morriston, I broke my heart, because he looked worse then than he ever did beforehand, because of the build-up of bile. I was on his liver, it was yellow, like yellow. He just looked like an old man. Obviously his belly was extended. He looked like an alcoholic. Now Brian, if you know Brian, he's teetotal. He doesn't drink at all, doesn't smoke. So basically they were just saying to him, he's just the unluckiest person in the world, because this happens like once in a blue moon, you know. You don't they were giving him antibiotics, they were all having reactions. They couldn't figure out what was going on. He was under controlled diseases, things like that. He was also under kidney specialist, because obviously the build-up of bile on his liver, he had to have a liver biopsy. Then from the liver biopsy, he had a bleed. He had fluid around his heart, fluid around his lungs. He was still being sick all the time, couldn't keep anything down. I mean, his weight had dropped. He's only like 9.5 stone anyway, Brian, but he dropped weight down to about 3 stones. He's looking like a skeleton, but still fat, like around his legs, because obviously build up of water and things. So yeah, so it was really, really scary, and they just couldn't figure out what was going on. And like I say, his mental health started to deteriorate, because he'd been in there so long and he was on his own and things like that. They were trying to say, like, I don't think they were letting people in, but they let me in because I could sit with him and talk to him and try and get him to eat and stuff. But I didn't think he was eating, he was thrown back up. So it was like a catch-22. And basically, between the doctors then, they found like an antiviral sort of drug that helped him out, I think, that helped the liver. But in the meantime, the liver was fine in the end, but it had pickled his kidney so bad that he still needed dialysis like all the time. So he was having dialysis like every other day in the Morriston renal unit. And so his kidneys were really bad then. So he still had the problem, but he became less yellow. Obviously, he was very, very weak. Just wanted to get out of hospital. He was in Morriston then for about 4 weeks, something like that. Altogether, I think he was in for about 9 weeks in total. Long time. Came out of hospital. He was still really, really weak. Wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do to bring him out. They were happy with him, but obviously he still had to attend dialysis on certain days. So so that was pretty much it, because from then on he's still the same. He still has dialysis. He only has to have dialysis twice a week now. He's getting a lot more strength, but he's still being sick with certain foods. Still can't keep his weight up. He has put on a little bit of weight, but not a lot. He's not yellow anymore, which is good. So he's still under gastro, so we need to figure out what's going on with his sickness, stuff like that. But he's been to work. His work have been really, really good. He's hopefully going to try and do like maybe a day and a half, because he's been on sick for like 6 months. That sort of ends up stopping, and everything else. So but along with that, this is my luck. Honestly, me and Brian are going to be the most unluckiest people in the world. The day before I took him into A&E, when he was he was quite rough, I had a phone call from my landlord. I just thought it'd be like, need to do a service or whatever on the boiler. No, really sorry to tell you this, Amy, but we need to sell the bungalow. We need to give you this 10 notice. We need you out by whatever, next couple of months. And I was like, oh no. So of course, our landlord has always told us this house would be our house forever and ever. It would be a forever home. So I was a bit like, because Brian was ill, so I was saying to him, like, Brian's ill, blah, 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 blah. I can't take this in at the moment. I need some time to digest it. Anyway, I told Brian there and then. I broke my heart, and I said, oh my God, what are we going to do? And of course, at this point, we were just thinking Brian was like, just had food poisoning and he'd be back at work and we'd sort it. And he was like, hey, don't worry, we'll sort it. Anyway, all that happened. They took me to hospital. He didn't really start being compos mentis till about like when he was in a ICU. So I said to him, do you remember what I said about the house? And he said, yeah, I do. But of course, he was in ICU. He was in Morriston Hospital. I had to be out by the 26th of September, I think it was, of a bungalow. So I had to do everything by myself. So as well as going to see Brian pretty much every day in a hospital, the kids were... The summer holidays were ruined, but the summer holidays are generally the days that I work more hours in work because it's more touristy. So I was working a lot of hours. I had to get, the money to come from somewhere. The kids were off. I was just so lucky that Brenda was here and she could watch the kids, because she would watch my sister-in-law's children as well. And basically, we were going to be homeless from like the 26th of September. So I had to get onto the council. I had to explain everything. I had to try and get on the list. And I was like, what are we going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. I have absolutely no idea. So the next protocol then was like, basically, if I didn't come to Brenda's, then I wouldn't have anywhere to go. So slowly, I didn't like staying in the house anyway when Brian wasn't there, because he wasn't there like for ages. So I just went over in the days when I was off and tidied up the house and sort of boxed everything together. I used to go over, I used to sometimes bring Brenda over with me, and Rachel would help as well. And then I got the bunk beds from my old house into Brenda's house straight away, so the kids had somewhere to go. Because obviously I didn't really want to be paying bills and stuff in my old house if I was having to move out, do you know what I mean? So I still had to pay the rent and stuff like that, which was annoying. But anyway, so yeah, so I pretty much did like all the hard slog where I just made sure that the kids were okay and that they had their beds here and stuff like that. So I gradually just brought everything gradually over to Brenda's. Had to order a storage unit for all of our other stuff, had to sell our sofas and things like that because I just didn't have room for them. Yeah, so I pretty much did it all by myself. It was tough, honestly, it was tough. With regards to my anxiety, I think I was probably running on such, I was doing so many things all at once, I didn't have time to think about it. And I was ever so worried that like if I sat down and actually thought about it, I would crumble, and I knew that I couldn't, because Brenda was obviously worried about Brian, because every time I was ringing the hospital or every time I went to visit him, there was something else that would go wrong. There was never any like good news, it was always bad news. And then they would get your hopes up by saying, yes, he's doing a bit better today, he's eating a little bit more, and then you go back and he'd been sick and everything, and it take you back and there was problems with this and there's problems with that, and you're like, oh my god, this is never ending. But yeah, so I had a lot to deal with. But yeah, so we had to move out by the 26th of September, I think it was. So we came to Brenda's. We are still here. It's now January the 18th, 19th, I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. Obviously Brian came out just before we had to hand the keys back over to the house. So he just came generally back to his mum's because there was nothing in the house. So yeah, so I had to give the keys over and do all that by myself because Brian was just too weak. He couldn't help with anything with the house or do whatever. So I had to do like a gazillion tip brands, which I really, really enjoyed actually. I love getting rid of stuff. So yeah, so Rachel and his mum were a load of help. My mum couldn't get down because obviously she's got the dog and everything, and that's fine. So yeah, but you know, lots of people just giving me support in general, so I was okay. Like I say, I did cry, and it was horrible being in the bed by myself and stuff like that, but it was yeah, it was really, really hard time. And it's only now sort of January that I'm starting to get sort of not comfortable at all, because I'm not comfortable. But yeah, back to a point where I think, okay, I can maybe do some bits and bobs now and not have to worry so much. The kids have all been fine. I was really worried that it would affect them, but they're still happy. We didn't do anything in summer holidays. Obviously, we didn't go anywhere because it was just nowhere to go, and I was always doing something. But I think they still, because they were with their cousins a lot of the time, they still really enjoyed, because they love spending time with them. So I was grateful for that. It was a lot of work for me and Brenda when all five of them were here. Because sometimes they would argue and it would be very, very hectic. But yeah, we've had Christmas here. Brenda she's got a 3-bedroom house, so that all the kids are in 1 bedroom, which isn't great because they're all, you know, the twins are 8 now, Lucia's nearly 10. Brenda got her room, and then we've got the spare room then. But of course I got all my crafting stuff, I've got loads of stuff, and so has Brian. So yeah, it was hard slog, because not only did I have to empty up the old house, but I had to empty up this house as well to get all our stuff in, because obviously this was a spare room. Brenda hoards a lot of things as well. A lot of Brian's old stuff from when he was in school and stuff was in here. So we did like 2 houses pretty much, because we had to empty this one out before we could get anything in. So I had to have my sister-in-law's husband to put up the bunk beds and stuff for the kids. So yeah, so it wasn't easy, and still isn't easy. It's still overcrowded. I'm still in touch with the council. I'm on the list. But basically the council have said the social housing situation is dire at the moment, which everybody knows, and it could be years and years and years, even though we've got a load of issues with Brian. You know, we haven't really claimed anything. He's only been getting sick pay. So yeah, thankfully, now we look back on it, it was probably the best thing to happen, us coming here, because I don't think we'd have been able to manage financially with Brian being in hospital. But at the same time, then it's just overcrowded, you know. And his mum is great, don't get me wrong, she's brilliant with the kids and everything, but you need your own space, don't you? It's not easy to like tidy up somebody else's house, and she's got a dog, so I have to look after the dog. And of course Brian is still off work at the minute, and he's still going to dialysis, so I'm still having to do quite a lot of things. Like for a long time now, he's still not been able to like physically do a lot of things, so you know, it's been back and forth like a nurse then, basically. You know, he needs help getting in the bath and stuff like that. So yeah, but he's getting stronger now, which is why I feel like I'm at a place where I can sort of breathe a little bit and I can be back to me. I did put all my craft stuff, pretty much most of it, away in storage. I have been doing other things, which I'll share with you in another video, but I just wanted to come on and explain to you what I've been. I've been bringing my craft stuff gradually back, which is probably not a good idea because Brenda's going to see it and freak out. But yeah, I've sort of got into journaling and stuff again. I know. But yeah, so I'll come on and I'll share that with you. I've really developed, I mean, I've always read books, but I'm really loving books again at the minute. I've found my passion for reading again, and I love it. It's just this place for me to escape. So I'm sort of generally trying to get my craft on as well and do a little bit of a few things, but I haven't done much. So we had Christmas to do. I did do a few things for Laura, Steph and Jude, but with regards to crafting, I haven't really crafted anything. I've been well into my Lego, but again, because this isn't our house, we've got no room to put anything, so a lot of our stuff is in storage. I have bidded on a few houses. We don't seem to be getting any luck with any of them. Again, you know, if there's tens of thousands of people in our situation, the same, because according to the council there are thousands of people that are in the same situation as us, which I'm not sure whether I believe, but there's no emergency accommodation anywhere. But we technically don't really want emergency accommodation because you're going to be stuck in a hostel or something like that, and you know, that's no good. In Fishguard somewhere, and you know, I gotta keep the kids at school, and yeah, so it's been really, really tough. But yeah, I'm okay. I've survived. I'm still like on citalopram. I'm on my 40 milligrams. I don't mind telling people. I'm still wobbly. I still have my panic attacks and stuff, but I'm a lot more aware of them now. I can control them a little bit better. I'm doing my breathing exercises. Brian has pretty much been through the ringer as well with regards to his mental health, being in hospital so long. Obviously, you know, before he went into hospital, he was fit, he was fine, and then basically this has just like destroyed his body. So it's obviously played a lot on his mind. So he's under a neuropsychologist that he sees face to face every month. So yeah, so that's helping him. I have told him to tell me things, but of course he doesn't want to tell me things because he knows it'll play up with my anxiety and depression, and I'm like, yeah, I want to know, but I don't want to know, if that makes sense. But yeah, now the next stress we've got is just sort of figuring out how we can get back to work, because not only that happened, but our second car went in for an MOT and had to be scrapped because basically it was not fixable. So we've only got one car, which doesn't work because I work one end of Saundersfoot, and Brian works in Pembroke Dock. The kids go to school in close to Saundersfoot, so it's like, oh, logistically it's very difficult because I'm gonna have to be, I've been like taxiing for months now, but I'm gonna have to like sort of taxi Brian back and forth to work and stuff. So we're just gonna take it slow and see how it goes, but we are sort of being at Brenda's, we are able to sort of save a lot more money because obviously we're not paying out rent and things. So we help towards the house, obviously, don't get me wrong. But yeah, we're able to sort of save up. So we've had Christmas, we had a good Christmas. We probably overcompensated a bit by getting way too much. But no, the kids enjoyed Christmas. So we've said now our next focus now is to save for a car. So as soon as because he can drive and everything, he's actually quite fine driving because it doesn't take out a lot of energy for him because he's only sort of, you know, with his feet and his hands and stuff. But he's definitely progressing. But yeah, so that's me. I'm gonna stop talking now because it's been 30 minutes. Oh my god. So it's up to you whether you want to watch this or not. It's entirely up to you. But I will be coming back on. I'll be doing separate videos. I want to show you some of the books that I've had, some of the reading journal that I've made. I'm doing a journal for the year now as well. I'm trying to set that up. Because I have a Gemini personality, I really like to learn things. Like I get bored, not bored, but I like to do different things all the time. So I've been doing a lot of diamond paintings. I've been wanting to get better at hand lettering for my journals and stuff. So I've got a couple of books on that. I've been buying myself some pens. I know. So I'll show you all of that in another video. Another couple of videos. I want to talk to you some more about books because that is like where I am at the moment. I have, like I say, I haven't really been doing a lot of crafting stuff. I will be possibly more incorporating it into like sort of my journaling and stuff, and I do want to try and make some cards and things for the year because I'm still rubbish at stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm going to sort of love you and leave you now. I hope you don't mind that I've just yacked for half an hour. I have been sort of watching YouTube. I haven't been commenting on anybody's videos because usually I haven't got the time to watch a video all the way through. But I have missed you all like loads, and there's loads of stuff going on and around the YouTube community and things, and I just want you to know that I'm still there. I just have to take a bit of a time out, but yeah, hopefully I can come back and do some videos with you. I'll probably do more face to face, especially if I'm talking about books and stuff like that. So I might just generally change up a bit of the content, not so much crafting, but I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I've really enjoyed talking to you like this. Sorry, I do this with my hands quite a lot. But yeah, I don't know, this light, my face looks actually pretty good at the minute because I haven't got many spots. I usually got loads of spots. But that's to do, my skin has actually got a lot better. But yeah, so I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I will upload this, and I hope you're all okay. I hope you don't mind me yakking to you, telling you everything about me. It's kind of seems a bit personal, but hey ho, I just wanted to say hello and just say, you know, where I've been. We're okay. Brian's okay. The kids are okay. I'm okay. Brenda's okay. The dog's okay. So yeah, so lots of different things. I'm trying to keep in perspective that Brian could have died. It could have been a lot worse than what it has been. You've got to stop taking things for granted. I'm trying to live more like that, so I'm being a lot more positive, but sometimes I have to really snap myself out of it. So that's why then I sort of go on to like a load of different things. But yeah, so I shall speak to you all again soon in my next video. Drop comments in the comment section below saying hello. I've really missed you all. So yeah, I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye.